Hi guys, I'm Joe Klemczewski here with Dr. Kori Probst with the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast. And today we're continuing on in our series about the 5 steps, or 5 gears actually, of energetic goal pursuit. So just to catch everybody up, because we've actually had a couple days delay here with some travel, but we have gone through autonomy, competence, and connection or relatedness. And right now we are in between what you want to do to foster a great feeling of competence with your clients or people around you, even in your own life. So today we're going to talk about what not to do, how you can screw that up. Right, Kori?
Yes, I'm like on the edge of my seat as I'm listening to you introduce the podcast, and is he going to get the title right? And because this is part however many numbers, who knows, but
part 64F dash 14
segment 59. Yeah, so this is all about the threats to competence, and you introduced it perfectly. What not to do if we want to feel that vital, energetic sense and of competence.
Well, I'm glad you thought my introduction was okay, because that would have been a threat to my competence.
Right, exactly.
If you said it was horrible,
then you're probably going to go binge eat after we got off of
yes.
gas.
Gallon of tequila and just go to the casino. Yeah.
Binge drink, and binge gamble, and any number of those compensatory behaviors. But so this is why this is important, is because a satisfied sense of competence promotes the seeking of challenges. So when our competence is supported, we are more likely to use our current skills and move towards endeavors that can help us develop new ones. And when we're pursuing a goal and we have decided that we genuinely want to change, we have to know that new skills are going to have to be built, right? So the competence is best satisfied when we're stretched a little bit, right? And we are moving into something that is just a little bit above our current competencies, our current capacities and skills. It's interesting. I don't know if you've read anything by Steven Kotler.
I don't think so.
He wrote a book called The Rise of Superman. And what he describes in this book is that an optimal level of engagement towards a pursuit occurs when we're just 4% above our current skill level. So you can imagine, like, people jump on these massive goals that they have zero skill to be able to accomplish. It's no wonder they give up so quickly, and fall off and get super frustrated and then just say, screw it. 4%. But so if we're a little bit above 4% or a lot above 4%, then we're going to experience fear and overwhelm. And we know what can happen when those are in our space. And if we're under that, that's when we're going to experience a sense of boredom and complacency. And then we're just like, meh, whatever. We don't really have that vital sense of determination to move forward and pursue something. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, one of the first things you said kind of blew me away. I'm like stuck on what you said 5 minutes ago, because I think for anybody in the sphere of coaching or consulting, you said something to the effect of, if you don't create that environment, then people won't want to pursue the goal. And I immediately thought of how parents can destroy kids like that, or at least destroy their ambition and their drive. So, right off the bat, I think that's one of the most important things to discuss, is the fact that you, as an influencer in somebody else's life, you can completely destroy even just their desire to want to move forward toward a goal. That's going to be mind-blowing for some people, I think.
Yes, we have the capacity to annihilate people's spirits just by the way that we create the environment and speak to them and with them and for them. Yeah. And whether we're willing or not to collaborate with them and help them create this container in which they're going to develop new skills within. Yeah,
and how much more magnified that must be in that position of authority, or at least of perceived authority and respect, because there's always that element where they want to please you in some way. They want that pat on the back, and just the wrong word, the wrong time can just cut them down at the knees.
Well, how often have you heard from your clients, Joe, I really didn't want to disappoint you? Mm-hmm. I hear that so often when I'm in my mental edge coaching sessions. There is I have to go into the session. I have to kind of clear the crud from my internal space before I go in, because I'm I don't want anything weighing on me. I don't want to go into the session with any preconceived notions. As best I possibly can. We are so biased as humans, we don't even realize it. But I have to consciously reflect upon, okay, what is my energy going in? And then when I am with a client, it's work, it's effortful, it's thoughtful, it's very deliberate about how I want to say certain things and the tone that I'm going to use, and it's very, very important and impactful, because it influences so much in terms of the emotional space that they're within. So,
and isn't that so true just of people we interact with? Somebody who's a good communicator, who you feel good being around, they're just that generous with their attention naturally. They may not be a trained psychologist as you are, but man, are some people just phenomenal at making you feel important in their presence.
Yeah, absolutely. I can think of a few people in my life who are skilled and a few people who aren't. That sort of a thing.
And that's what we're talking about today. We gotta get into all of the things not to do, because I think this is going to be kind of a gut check for some of us.
Totally. So I have a list of 6 things not to do. And let's frame this from the perspective of, as a coach, what you want to be very careful about watching for among your clients. If they are not doing these things, or doing the things that are going to move them out of a supported sense of competence. And then as a client, okay, if you're actively working towards a goal right now. So this is going to sound really cliche. There is a reason that we hear the same thing over and over and over and over again, usually, because it's valid. A lot of times, not all the time. Not all the time. The keto diet's awesome. We should all do the keto diet. Well, everyone's hearing that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But here, all the psychological research out there shows don't dodge discomfort. Number 1. Don't dodge discomfort. Number 2, don't look at comfortable as the ideal. Okay. Number 3, don't deny, don't deflect, and don't deceive yourself. Number 4, don't be afraid to feel. Emotions can indicate that something is important here, guys. Number 5 is don't give up. These all maybe seem kind of obvious, but everyone does these things a lot of the time. So we need to acknowledge our tendencies. And when that happens, then we need to acknowledge and ask, what are all the other possibilities? Because we're always going to have that impulsive first thought. Allow yourself the second thought, the third thought, the fourth thought. And then number 6 is don't believe all your thoughts. Thoughts are not directives. Okay, so a lot of us have the thought, I know what to do, I just don't do it. I don't actually believe that most of us know what to do. Or maybe we know because someone has said, this is what you do, but we don't know how to do it. We know that's the best thing, or that would be the most optimal behavior, but we don't actually know how to implement it in our lives or to apply it, and in what cases we would apply it. So those are the big 6 do nots.
Yeah, and they certainly have a common theme in terms of not shirking that directness. It's funny, I was reading an article last night, and very similar advice in a totally different context, which is, be direct. Even if this is a risky situation, risky conversation, just always be direct, and then, trust that you can work through that with somebody. But I really do, think again, and this word keeps coming up in my brain, which is generosity, because all of those things you listed, if you're going to be somebody who's hypercritical, you can just see in your mind somebody saying, oh, no, do it this way. Oh, do this. Or, oh, you're doing that all wrong. You can be as critical as you want to magnify that, but very opposite than just inviting that person into the conversation and saying, oh, let's have this time to communicate this, instead of thinking we have to get to a perfect or a right or a wrong. Just let that person have their half of that space.
So I love your point, Joe, about directness. And it sounds like in the article you read, it was more about communication between people. I think we could turn that around and direct it at ourselves. So can we be more direct with ourselves? But to your point about generosity, can we be generous with ourselves too? And I want to add another G word. Can we be gentle? Because a lot of times I think when people hear be direct, it's like that already has a tone to it. Be direct. It's loud, it's sharp, it's like kind of cutting, and that doesn't work very well. That's not going to set the foundation for a collaborative, sharing, open, ready, vulnerable conversation with ourselves or with another person. So that generosity and gentleness, I think, needs to be the foundation of the directness. So let's say what is true for us, but let's also be gentle when we do it. I hear a lot of people talk about being brutally honest too. There is no place for that. Not with ourselves and not with another person or a group of people. No one needs brutality. Brutality breeds a sense of threat. Again, then we're back in the place where we're avoiding, we're deflecting, and we're protecting. And we don't want to, as coaches, put our clients in a place where they feel like they have to protect themselves from us. That's not the goal.
Yeah, I also liked the way you ended there on number 6, in terms of just not even believing all of your own thoughts. I don't think that is a norm for people. And,
it's not.
Even just, especially in this realm, we're talking about living your best life, having almost unlimited possibility. If you do saddle yourself with those kind of self-limiting beliefs, and I don't mean like pom-pom, rah-rah stuff, you can fly to the moon, but seriously, we I think really undercut ourselves when we think that something that's going to be very difficult, is not possible.
Yeah.
And so we set something up as true when it may not be. Or it may even be true today, but it's not true in 6 weeks, depending on the actions you take. Depending
upon the skills that we've given ourselves the opportunity and the space to begin to learn. And we really do. We will act in accordance with our most limiting belief. So people may call that self-sabotage. It's really more just about getting out from underneath the thoughts that we've allowed to govern our capacities. Why does that thought have to be the end-all be-all? It's a thought. It's a string of words. That's all it is. And we may have heard it from someone along the way, maybe a caregiver, maybe a mentor or a teacher. But that doesn't mean anything until we give it meaning. Otherwise, it's just a statement made by some Yahoo.
I was actually on a plane last night and reading a quote from Steve Jobs, and I don't have the whole quote exactly, but the paraphrase is that, yeah, you know, in entrepreneurship, it's really messy, it's really complex, and you know, despite all of that, the people who get all of the shit done are a little bit crazy. You know, they're crazy enough to think they can do it.
Yeah.
And that's certainly not somebody who believes everything that their brain might tell them.
Exactly.
This is what I'm going to do, even if nobody thinks it can be done.
You know, I heard something recently, Joe, because you and I have talked a lot about creativity too. So coming back to like creativity and entrepreneurship, we may be a person on the outside who's watching some amazing entrepreneur, and we're just seeing them rise to the top of, you know, whatever field they're in. And we're like, how did they do that? Because to us, it's like they just made this massive leap from A to B. But that's what we see. The person who has made that leap has been learning and growing and grinding and developing skills all along the way, because they haven't been limited by the belief that we have about what's possible. They've been like, and I can't remember who I was listening to. He said, it's not about going from A to B. It's about going from A to not A. So to ask that question, like, this is what my thought says, but what if I were to engage all the possibilities that are directly in opposition to that thought? What may be out there? So, you know, it really relates to this discussion, and our thoughts are not directives.
So I know I pushed you out of the personal space into the coaching realm when I listed some of your points in your top 6 there. But if you, as Dr. Kori Probst, psychologist, could say, okay, here is my best piece of advice for you as an individual. Here is my best piece of advice for you as a coach. This is what I think everybody needs internally for their own lives. This is how you need to be for those in your life. What are those 2 things out of this list of 6?
I think that I could give you 2 and they would apply on both sides. So don't go in with any assumptions for yourself and if you're a coach. And then I'm going to come back to assume a position of gentleness.
I like it. Yeah. That's, as somebody, you know, you and I talk a lot about how some of our personality traits are the same. Mm-hmm. It has always been, I think, for people who are doers and they're ambitious, a challenge to not just assume, your first point, that everybody is running in the same direction at the same speed, and that everybody needs or wants your help. So a lot of people who come in as Mr. Fix-It, oh, let me help you do that. Oh, do it this way. You know, trample on people's sense of competence. Yeah. And as you started with at the beginning of the podcast, just completely undercut their own desire to grow and to pursue something if you're not, as you said, gentle and generous and giving them that space.
Yeah, I wrote something recently, Joe, for this course that I'm in right now, and it's all about creating the container. And this is the space in which you are going to be teaching or collaborating or guiding a student or a client. And the container is all about, you know, where you are internally and what the environment is like externally too. And I wrote, you know, if I could hang a sign on the door of the container and on my heart, it would read, let's practice being human, ... together. And to me, that says it all.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well done. And for you guys watching and listening, thank you guys so much. We are going to be trying to change our format a little bit in that we're going to shrink these back down to about 20 minutes. But then we're also going to start producing little clips. So, you know, maybe more
exciting.
Direct pieces. We have our communication director who produces and edits these shows. And so he's going to maybe start doing some of that.
Little snippets of goodness.
Yes, exactly. But another thing, this week, I know timestamps are weird. Somebody listening to this 5 years from now are not going to understand this. But we are in a fitness entrepreneurship category for this series. And this week, we are launching our charter group of the National Academy of Metabolic Science. So a ton of new nutrition consultants on their way toward the examination process are starting this week. And if you have no idea what that means, then you can message us, but it's join.namscert.com. The Diet Doc collaborated with Tyler Mayer, and we've created this organization to help fitness entrepreneurs move through different stages of nutrition clinical competency, so you can become a certified nutrition consultant, and then we're branching up into more advanced areas. But yeah, this is it, Kori. Right now, as we're sitting here recording this, it is the first day videos are being sent out all over the world to our new students, and we're going to be doing tutorials and live sessions together. So a lot of cool stuff happening. Very
exciting. Yeah, and so I will say this too, guys. We are launching on November 5th a 50 days inner strengths challenge called Maximize Your Macro Mindset. And we're taking registrations currently right now through tomorrow, through Halloween. We're offering a very significant discount to current clients and non-clients, an early bird discount. So you can contact me, Kori, at thedietdoc.com to get your discount code. But this is going to be a pretty neat group too. So far, we've got like 50 people registered, and it's going to be a lot of competence building, guys, and a super amount of connection as well. So
you do so many great topical group things like this, Kori. Eventually we should have a catalog for your stuff, but I think this one is just going to be amazing with people. I mean, this topic is going to hit people and change a lot of lives.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. I'm excited about it.
All right, guys, we will see you back here next time, and we've got a couple more in the series. Then we'll start talking about things like nutrition again. We'll get back in the coaching clinic and some science or fiction topics. But thank you guys for your time and attention, and we're going to catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.